ways of seeing. I was fortunate enough to see a play in Baltimore at the Center Stage, 2.5-minute ride by Lisa Crone. It was amazing. One person speaking for, I think she was at least 2 hours. I mean, and that she could hold our attention. She would take you on a journey in the past and in the present. You'd go back and forth, and it was very interesting. In the past, she was talking about Cedar Point in Ohio, which I know. I'm from Indiana, and going Cedar Point's this whole roller coaster ride carnival thing, blah, blah, blah. Well, it made me think about my past and the 4-H fair and going to that and how interesting and gritty, but it was like sparkly and wonderful at the same time. And so I decided to start investigating that and looking at the, the structure and the history and all the things that it could relate to. So that's where the roller coaster really comes from. And you'll see in this piece, even though there is no roller coaster, there is a cow. And there is, Slinky. And I was going to juggle for you, but just couldn't get that down quite. So pretend I'm juggling. Okay, juggling over. Okay, now the girl. Where does the girl come from? Well, I like Amy Cutler. You know her. She's great. She's got girls, but I couldn't have her girls because those are her girls, right? And I live off Patterson Park. And if you go there in the summertime, there are these amazing young women that do this hoochie-coochie, dancey kind of thing with one drummer, and they have their cowboy boots on and these little red skirts, and they all do this kind of dance together, and they become a performance piece. And I think they do parades and all that, but I'll just go in the park and watch them. So I felt a kindred spirit, and again, they relate back to my present, and they were mine. They were mine. And then I found this game that I had from the 60s with this girl, and I thought about bringing her, the little toy, but I didn't. So here she is. And so I saw her, and I felt as though, that could be mine as opposed to Amy's. And that in these kind of, gloomy, ominous, environments, the girl survives or whatever, and there's a sense of hope. And I feel like if there's ever cake in the environment, there is hope. If you have cake, you can make it through the day. So that is basically where the roller coasters and the girls and the cakes come from. And you might see, like in here, the little dance steps, and obviously that could come from the 60s and any place 60s, but and so the color and patterning, or the added bits of color, I really liked Schindler's List, and obviously I'm not to that quality or that poetry or anything like that, but I really liked how you would use color to just give a glimpse of hope or a glimpse of something. He gave you focal point with that. And so again, if you ever watched The Dating Game or played Twister or any of those things from the 60s and 70s, that has that kind of color and patterning. So, Schindler's List, you could say, oh wow, you're just all over the world. Whatever, Schindler's List to bits of color to games and, things from the 60s and 70s. And so that is what I was looking for and looking at.
Does anyone have any questions for Tonia?
I do.
There you are.
So you're kind of saying that these this sort of heavy ink and this darkness are a little bit gloomy.
Mhm.
I'm wondering what that's about in contrast with what you're saying. There's this idea of hope. Why is
There's always hope in darkness. I mean, I live in off Patterson Park. I moved there in 1990. I mean, in the sense, I mean, and that seems kind of, but, you know, it's like, it's a nice house. I have wonderful neighbors, but I might need to walk down the middle of the street at night so I don't get mugged.
Mm-hmm. But why are the roller coasters so gloomy? Is it sort of this remorse?
Oh, I think they're scary.
Oh, okay.
Scary as shit. I mean, yes, aren't they? I mean, but they're exciting. Aren't they fun to go on? But I mean, for me, my poor husband, we went to, anyway, and I couldn't go on. I got to the end, and I'm like, I'm out of here. And people were like, abandoned ship, she's leaving, you know. But you know, you get to the end to get on ride. I was turning around. But it was kind of exciting to get up there. So that was Disneyland in LA. I forget the ride. It's like, oh, it's too scary.
With Amy Cutler's girls, what other reasons are you drawn to them other than, I mean, other than the fact they're very beautifully drawn, but...
I like the idea, that the softness of them, and just that bit of human, and I'm not a figurative artist by any means, but I like, you know, the softness and the human quality of them.
Because also, with that, and I can see with yours that it's feminine, but it's not, it's the kind of feminine that's kind of hard to describe unless you're a girl, where it's like, yes, it's girly, and they make it seem like it's frivolous, but it's like almost like a mystical sense for their world that's completely different to everybody else.
Yeah, and you think about the girls, let's say in Patterson Park, I know those girls probably go home to maybe a difficult environment because, you know, I know the neighborhood. And, but yet in that moment, at that time, they are so strong and virile and, you know, just like, I am cool. And they're doing their little thing, and maybe their baby's watching them or whatever, but you know, maybe their home isn't so wonderful. You know, no, leave it to Beaver there. Yes. Anyone else? Yes.
How do you think that the scale of the work changes the sort of impact of the imagery that you're using? You can see the repetition in like different scales.
I think they soften it a little bit and make it a little more intimate and less, you know, maybe scary.
Yeah.
That's you know.
Do you like to have a variety of, like have your scary piece and then sort of like your softer piece?
Yeah. Or yeah, and I like always working large and small because on the small pieces I can lose them so easily. I mean, I have worked 2 inches square, and you know, you have a piece of copper that size in a studio, and you set it down, and you lose it. You know, whereas those big boys, you know, I can find them. You know, and that's really quite nice. You know, so it for me just psychologically, it's nice to work on those scales. Good question.